We are starting today our lesson 58 from the book Alert by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis. The medium is Divaldo Franco, as we know. And we are almost finishing this book. 2 more weeks, and then we will go to the suggestion that Marlene gave to us. We will have a few weeks maybe talking about different topics. The first one is going to be about her spirit that she mentioned. If there is any other, topic that you would like perhaps for us to cover before going to a new study, let me know, okay? So let's start. And the lesson today, we can see, is about humility, right? All right. Always humble. Rejoice for being a part of the indescribable greatness of the universe. Do not underestimate yourself to the point of composing a dissonant note in this symphony of incomparable musicality. Seek to be in sync with the melody that floats vibrant in the air, tuning yourself to the glory of life. So it's very beautiful how she starts this chapter, because for us that are already used to the way that she has been presenting each chapter, each topic in this book, she always goes straight to the point. And in this one, she's first is inviting us to feel all this greatness that really means to belong to the universe, for us to contemplate the universe, to see it with the eyes of, or with eyes that can really value everything that is around us. But having said that, she says, when you look at all this, do not think you are not important, that you are small, that you have no part on this, on the greatness of the universe and life that prevails all around. Instead, she kinds of, in a very poetic way, she tells us, she puts us as being a single note in a symphony. But if you remove the single note from the symphony is not going to be complete. So we may be a simple single note, but still we have our role in the melody, in the symphony of the universe. I thought this was so beautiful. I don't know about yourselves, if you would like to say something, or maybe I'm seeing too much in just this couple of phrases. Anyone would like to say anything, or should we go on? Okay, let's move then. Aggrandize yourself in the action of the smallest things. Humble yourself when facing expressive realizations that promote the itching of vanity and disarticulate the pieces of simplicity. So first, she starts by, like we said, by saying how important, regardless of how small we may seem before the universe, and how important we are. But having said that, at the same time, she's saying no task is small enough that does not deserve your attention. So do not take that for granted. And no grandiose task means that can only be accomplished by you. So be humble because others can do that as well, right? So it's interesting how she invites us to balance, which is the key, the secret of life, right? Is balance, especially when we are on this side of life, when we are living in the material world. We know how much important it is for us to consider, to work on everything that is material without overlooking the fact that we are spirits and we are spiritual beings. So we have to be there as well. So she says, in the context of the expressions of the universe, you are important, translating the glory of creation and forever evolving. So again, don't think that we are not important, that there is no value in our position, in our situation. Humility expresses personal value and achievements. I think the reason why she's emphasizing that so much is, do you know how much we tend to be or to live in the extremes, right? So either we are completely selfish or completely altruist to the point of becoming a burden to society. Either we are completely, enveloped or overtaken by the negative side of pride, or we will have this humility. And truth is that it is still very hard for us to understand what humility means. Sometimes because we do not know how to position that quite well, we try to think more with a material view. So humble is the person that dress discreetly, that doesn't spend money unnecessarily, or is poor, or very rarely we will think about someone that maybe be beautifully dressed in a beautiful house as a humble person. And the fact is that this has nothing to do with that. Humility is something from within. You can be dressed in rags and still be very proud, be overtaken by pride, or you can be, in a very good financial situation, but you will still be a very humble and helpful person, not only to yourself, but to others. This is why she is somehow calling our attention to say, don't put yourself too low when thinking, compared to God or to Jesus or all these other, important characters that we know, I'm nothing. No, we are not nothing. We are children of God. Like they are, like everybody else is. We are in different stages of involvement. We are, but we are getting there. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we have to feel, mostly when we bring into the equation the material things, that we have to feel superior to everyone and everything. By discounting yourself, you will radiate and stimulate peace everywhere. By not being overtaken by pride, right? The way she says it. Any comment or question that you would like to pose at this moment?
Sarah.
Yes?
When we talk about humility, the opposite, as we have a lot of opposites, black and white, good and bad. The opposite of humility is the ego. I'm just thinking, the ego, is there much of a egotism in the spirit world, or only because we have a physical body that we're able to make more of the egoness in us?
Of course, Orlando, we were kind of touching this aspect, because we are in the physical bodies, not necessarily, in the physical realm, okay, it's not necessarily because of the physical body, because as we've been saying in the past few weeks, we have a physical body in the spirit realm as well, okay? But when we as spirits are living in a material physical realm, we tend to be more inclined to analyze, to see things, to value more everything that we have here on matter, thinking that this is all and this is more important, especially because we don't remember quite well or almost nothing, about our experiences before and our experience in the world of the spirit. So this is a fact. We will be having this tendency of egotism, of focusing more on materiality than spirituality, because we still have not found the necessary balance we need to live in the world. We're getting there, slowly but surely, yeah, that's it.
Yusara, that was beautiful and excellent.
Thank you, Orlando. Thank you. Anyone else would like to say anything or not? So let's go to the next one. Never allow yourself to be engulfed by outrage, which translates into arrogance and pride. This is something that we are familiar, if not from us, from our behavior. We have been seeing displays of people that feel outraged because how come you didn't invite me to something, you didn't call me, or you didn't see me walking on the streets, or something like that. So we know this experience, and of course it comes out of self-importance. Remember, the thing is here, this is why Joanna de Angelis said, we are talking about the healthy way of feeling important, not the negative way. Okay, so yes, you are important. You're children of God. You're part of the symphony of the universe, of the whole creation, but not to the point of discarding or despising or being rude to everything else, to everyone else. To nature, when you completely disregard and start destroying gardens, or or rivers and oceans. So this is a lack of understanding their importance in the world. So when someone allows themselves to be humbled, they are enriched by indistinguishable renewed strength. And here, again, when we are talking about humble, it doesn't mean that you are not going to see the results or appreciate the results of your own efforts, and that people should not say anything like, this pat on the back saying, good work, oh my God, I know how much you, or how hard you work to achieve this or that, and you finally got there, what a blessing, how wonderful. It has nothing to do with refraining from expressing sincere appreciation for others and even for ourselves, to say, oh my God, I feel so proud of myself because I know how hard it was for me to do that, to achieve that, to be where I am now. So, and this is what she's saying, how much we feel enriched And every time we accomplish something, of course, we are talking in terms of something on the path of goodness, right? We will feel this renewal strength, etc. So contemplate the stars, but do not be careless of the pebbles under your feet. This is wonderful also, because she's inviting us to be realistic. Right? It's not that I'm going to be a dreamer. Oh, like, you know, sometimes this is the judgment that we receive from the world. Oh, she's too religious. Oh, she's such a dreamer. I mean, she doesn't understand or see the world as it is around. I don't know anyone that really, with everything that life brings to us, can be that oblivious, right? I mean, I would like to meet this person. I mean, talking about someone being of a good mental health, right? If you have a good mental health, there is no way you will be this just idealistic, or at least not in the long term, right? So dream of the splendorous wisdom from above. However, do not disregard the difficulties, challenges to ascension. And here also in this same view of being realistic, she shows how important every difficulty, challenge that we go through the world is important for us as well. Like we always mention, in terms of experiences that we go in this world, that is helping us or will help us to move up. Comments, questions? Okay. Well, let's go ahead. The sun, which holds court to all surrounding stars, fades slowly. Technology, with its salutary benefits to humanity, also answers to the tremendous pollution that threatens life and nature. Metal that shines consumes itself in the melding for which it surrenders. Only humility shines without wearing off and elevates without danger. So here she's leading us to reason upon moral values, upon virtues versus matter. And she starts big. She starts with the sun, that we know, although we will look and say, oh, the almighty sun, right, responsible for life in our, at least in our planetary system, we know that it's going to fade away. It is happening already, okay? There are billions and billions of years. And sometimes I hear people commenting about, oh my God, what about when the sun, is going to explode or is gone in a billion of years? How life is going to subsist? And I say, listen, the the numbers for the sun to disappear, I don't remember how many billions, trillions of years, is more than our neighboring galaxy hitting us. So before the sun goes away, we will have a galaxy, another galaxy, M31, Andromeda, hitting us, and we don't have to worry about the sun anymore, right? Anyway, so talking about the sun, and then now that we are all in awe, right, with everything that we receive from technology, from the hardest metals in the world. She says everything goes away, but those, virtues, moral accomplishments, they don't fade. They just shine each time more. Okay, any comment, question? You're on mute, Orlando.
Isara,
Yes.
would you say that technology, like science, is helping us? Oh, is it taking away from how much we have to suffer to learn our lessons in the spirit world? Is there a conflict?
No conflict at all, because the way I see, the way we kind of, have this understanding from the spirit communication that we have in the codification and reliable sources, as we evolve, the less need we have to go through certain unnecessary burdens. So our life as a whole, the quality of life has improved a lot. It suffices to say that now the average lifespan of a human being is the double that we have 200 years ago. And all of that due to the conditions. I mean, we've been able to somehow to tame the weather, not necessarily taming the weather, but having protection against it, about, illnesses, about unnecessary suffering, like, when it's too warm, when it's too hot, it's too cold, we have air conditioning, we have painkillers, we have a lot of things that now reflect the merit of not going through that kind of struggle with anymore. Now, basically, we have the struggle of our own soul, right? Of dealing with our own moral person. So it is good. So technology and science only comes at the right time to help us in our involvement. There are abuses. Of course, there are abuses. The same painkiller that helps us to not have to go through extreme pain and prolonged pain can be used by and become an addition to others. It was never the intention to do like that. Nuclear power that could be or for many time still today in some places is a source of energy, was never intended to to become the instrument of the human destruction. The same for the airplane. So we are the ones that are somehow corrupting the benefits that we have, but little by little we are learning, and we will be making better use of all the resources that we have. Any other comment or question? Okay, so let's go. Many speak, write, and delineate definitions about the humility they claim to possess or that they propose others to live by. Be the one who is unnoticed, but who understands your neighbor and their circumstances, with no time for justifications or excuses or defensiveness. Follow the program that links you to goodness without abandoning your inner refinement and your personal sacrifice. So, the acquisitions of the soul, the virtues, their aim is not for us to go, around bragging about it. I mean, when we talk about humility, it's total nonsense, right? Like Benjamin Franklin said when he was writing his 13 virtues. For those who do not know or are not familiar, look for it, Benjamin Franklin 13 virtues. He started by writing just 12, which would be words and a rule of conduct for him to, according to what he thought was necessary for a person to be a good person, a moral person. And so he wrote the list for him, not for others, like Joanna de Angelis is saying here. He said, it's about me. What do I need to be a better person? And then he listed these 12 virtues. But once he was working on it and a friend saw it and he showed his friend. And his friend admired very much what he put together in what he was proposing or was actually doing already with himself. And he said, I think it's beautiful, your 12 virtues, but you forgot the most important one. And Benjamin Franklin asked, which one is the most important one that I forgot? And he said, humility. So humility is the 13th virtue, and it's interesting because after each one of those virtues, he writes a phrase to himself, like, what do I mean by this word? And in virtue, he put, imitate Jesus and Socrates. Socrates, probably because Socrates is the one that we know that said, what I know is that I know nothing, right? This is the utmost, the motto of humility. And then in his book, he writes the following: humility is so hard for us to achieve that even when you are humble, just by thinking or acknowledge you were, you no longer are. Right? So that's why it's not about talking, it's not about bragging about. People will see, people will notice, and we're doing that for ourselves. Of course, it's going to impact the world, but it's not for the world to see and to applaud, or for us to start going about giving lessons like, I was one day like you were, but look at me now. How humble I am. Really? Really? Okay, tell me what you did, because these are going to be the things that I'm not going to do, right? I don't want to be humble like you are. I want to be humble like Jesus and Socrates, right? So that's why she's saying here, just go with this individual program that we will have to be good, to be better, because it feels good when we are capable of taming our imperfections, the imbalances we have, and seeing that we are in control, even knowing that it is hard, and that, like we say, sometimes I may be successful, sometimes not, but if I was already able to do that one day, I know that it's possible, right? Today I failed, but I know that it's possible. I can do it. I already did it. So that's the process. Any comment or question? Let's go to. If others oppose your activity, be quiet and carry on. Each person answers to themselves for what they are and what they do. Humility is different from humiliation. One is light, the other darkness. The first elevates, the second degrades. Uh, Understanding that we are in different stages of evolvement. Some people have more or less interest in understanding their whole role here on earth, in thinking about themselves as the spirits, immortal spirits. Other people are still not there yet, which doesn't mean that they are not going to be there. It happened with us as well. So we have to respect their ways of being, as they have to respect our ways. So when someone comes and criticizes us, it is clear that they have a different opinion than we have. And there is no point in engaging into a dispute of who is right. We have to know what is right for us, and we have to stand by it. So, because at the end of the day, when the judgment day, right, comes, and the judgment day is with our conscience, right, we only have to respond to what we do. So it's not up to us to be comparing, criticizing. No, we have to be really worried about changing and working in ourselves, which again is not being selfish. It doesn't mean that we are not going to be here to help others, guide others when requested, required to do so. It's just that we have to do our part because nobody else can do that. I'm the only one that can do that. And in this sense, understanding well what we said before, the difference between humility, which is this state of the soul, a soul that each time more is reaching enlightenment, because the more enlightened we are, the more humility we will have. To the point of saying, like Socrates, what I know is that I know nothing, but I'm getting there, right? This is my addition, not Socrates. Then humiliating people, then or even humiliate ourselves, because sometimes we do that with ourselves. We come to ourselves saying that we are nothing, that we value nothing, that no one cares for us, that nothing that we do is important. This is us, ourselves, subjugating ourselves, our spirits, in this kind of darkness and degradation. So this is not the way we want to go. Comment, question? Okay. You're very humble today, not saying anything. So assure yourself with the certainty that on earth, that is still no place, or at least no understanding for the true humility which Jesus was the prototype, par excellence. With your eyes fixed on him, ignore evil and the henchmen of the wicked. Do not strike back or hurt anyone. And although wounded and in intense suffering, diving into the certainty of absolute and final victory after the long crossing through the ocean of lacerating human passions. So here she's saying again, Jesus is the guide and model. Okay, you want to know what is really to be a humble person, you look at Jesus. Look at the examples when facing everything that he faced to to the point of dying in the cross. And so we can learn from him, although it is still very hard for us to even understand why he did not liberate himself or did something else, But what she's saying here, he is the guide and the model, although in our level of involvement, it is still very hard for us to understand this true humility. But this is our path. This is our journey, which doesn't mean that we have to go to perish on the cross as well, which means, but we will be going through the struggles that, the chisel that will work on our root marble so that we can become the sculpture of light that we are destined to become.
Yusara,
Mhm.
this humility, society doesn't, it's not how should we say, something good. Society demands that you don't have humility, but that you be strong and build your ego and for competition. And it's a sign of weakness. Again, but I'm concentrating on society, what society wants, It's not that easy.
Yeah, Orlando, the thing is, it has never been easy for change makers. Okay. And throughout history, we have been seeing several examples of change makers, right? Jesus being one of them, a Buddha, or if we talk about in the field of arts and science, so they are not really appreciating their time. But it doesn't mean that if we have the conviction, we should prevent ourselves from going different paths that the majority trails just because it's the easy way, because we will be delaying our involvement. So we have been invited in this incarnation to give testimonials of how possible it is not to be 100% according to what society expects from you in terms of enhancing your frail weaknesses, negatives, imperfection, traits, but working on the good. This is what we do with our children. Like when you are educating your children, for instance, you will say, follow the good examples, not the bad examples. But when we become adults, we don't care if this is bad or good. We care about what is going to be more advantageous for me right now in terms of immediate results, immediate satisfactions. But now, when we expand our understanding and start thinking about, all the responsibility, everything that we are here to achieve, and spiritual life, immortality, we have to take a new stance. We have to choose different. And so yes, I remember about more than 30 years ago when I decided to become vegetarian, I was so criticized. People thought that I was crazy. And nowadays, this is so common, and each time more people are being more conscious about what they're eating, about their health, about killing the animals and this and that. Just as an example, what was a fashion in the 50s, in the 60s, or early 30s, I don't know which was smoking, now is banned from almost everywhere. Here in New York City, you cannot smoke on the streets, all right? Parks don't even think about it. I'm not saying that people are respecting it, but it is forbidden. You see, so in the, I don't know, in the 50s, perhaps in the 60s, was even, motivated for people to, it was elegant for you to have a cigarette or something, so we learn, we grow, and some people are going to pay the price because they are change makers. I love being labeled change maker. I hope that in the future, when people look back, say, "Oh, that woman there." I think in my point of view, she was a change maker. I paid the price for that. But now, 30 years, 40 years later, we will be the examples that people will follow. So we are ahead of our times. We shouldn't keep ourselves in a comfort zone, especially when deep inside we already know that this is not for us anymore.
Thank you, Sarah. I just want to say that your laugh fills my heart with joy. Thank you.
You're a dear love. I'm happy to have you here with us in our group, and that I can bring you this kind of, emotion. Okay. So anyone else would like to say anything else, or getting ready for the final 2 lessons, right? Okay. So